y'all. My name is Jasmine Jones, and I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and you are now watching Black Girl, a Therapist in the Wild. And this is a little show I like to call Therapist Sips and Reviews. And today we are reviewing The Woman King, and we are sipping on vodka and apple juice. So, how you doing? Since they're snubbing dark-skinned black women at the Oscars, I'm so sorry, Angela Bassett, for what happened to you. I liked Everything Everywhere All at Once, but the thing is that Angela Bassett's been making Oscar-worthy movies for decades and still has not received an Oscar. I mean, she should have received an Oscar for Malcolm X alone. But, I digress. So, since we're snubbing black women and we're not even putting The Woman King and giving it any nominations, I haven't even seen the movie until today because, when you experience something that you don't experience often to the point where it's so far in between those things that you don't think it's real, that those are just rare occurrences. And then you finally experience it again, and it's just a lot because it's just a lot. And it was a lot. It was emotional. I cried. More towards the end, but I cried. I was emotional. And so, yeah, it took me a minute to watch it. But I watched it, and it was a really good movie. And I'm just watching it, trying to figure out, well, what about this says that this doesn't deserve any kind of Oscar nomination or anything at all? Oh, it's because they're black people. Oh, it's because they're black people, and they are, not enslaved during this time period. And I'm just like, the only thing I didn't like about the movie is that we spent the majority of the time fighting our own people, other black folks, and then like one little splurge at the end of the movie where we're fighting the actual enemies of the movie, the white folks. Just like in Black Panther, the only bad part was that why are we fighting each other when it's the white folks that caused both of our traumas? I'm confused, but that's why it was allowed to get made. That's what I'm assuming, because most of the time we're fighting our own kind and just upset about that, but it's fine. Something that I wanted to do, I won't do this often, but I wanted to do it today just to honor black women, is to, feature one of my favorite authors at the moment. She is so amazing. And if you like fantasy, or if you like, diverse fantasy with dark-skinned black women doing magical, amazing things, this is for you. And also, my favorite part when I open the book is, boom, big old black woman face. She said, I wrote the book. Yes, she's amazing. All her books are amazing, and she's my favorite author at the moment. I'm trying to binge read all her books. But yes, wanted to feature that. We are a dark-skinned black woman show today because I'm upset and bothered. I don't care. We're all connected in the black diaspora, but for today, we are for darker skinned black women. This is what it's directed at because I'm tired. So anyways, let's get started. We started the movie off with Viola Davis's character. Her name is Nisuka. Well, I'm not going to remember these people's names, so let's get that started. They're just going to be the people that did this, and I can't remember their names. And she is going to free some captured slaves that some bandits helped to kidnap, but really they were working for, the big boss bandit. I think they're called a Goya tribe or something like that. And they basically work for the white people, and the white people give them money to kidnap the black people. So that's the white people were having black folks do their dirty work, apparently during slavery, and because they didn't want to get involved, they didn't know anything about the bush and all the hidden traps and things in the forest and the animals and all those other things. So they just found some greedy black folks that were willing to take some money and had them do it. Or they had the kings, and just like in the movie where the king's brother was the one that sold off the slaves and stuff before he died, they had the kings that were corrupt do it. So yes. And once again, let me just go forward with explaining this. Chattel slavery is a whole different monster than the slavery that was going on in Africa. Usually the slavery was indentured servitude, where you work for a certain amount of years and then you pay that off with the work you do and then you leave. or you became ensconced in the family, and basically you become a part of the family. Yes, you do work in the home, but you're seen as a family member. But chattel slavery takes you out of your country and takes away your culture and takes away what you know about yourself and where you came from and your ancestors, and so you don't know who you are or where you belong anymore. That's completely different, and it did it for centuries, for generations to come. To the point where black people in the diaspora had to create their own cultures and their own stuff just to feel, like they belong somewhere. So yeah, they got these people to help kidnap the slaves and stuff. And so the Niska is going around getting her people back. She is one of the women warriors. She is the general of the women warriors. And what's the town called? I think it's a city. It's called Doheny, or maybe it's a country. It's like Doheny. I don't know the name, but for her country, and you know, she's good at what she does. She saves the people in a little village situation and gets away. And she goes back and tells her king like what happened and how the white folks is about to come and get us, and they send in the Oga tribe and they working with them to get us, and da da da. And apparently they pay tax to the Oga tribe. I'm not sure. I guess to keep the peace between them because they were warring, and I guess that was the treaty that they would pay taxes to them and stuff like that. And the king is on her side because the king before him was trying to sell people, and he was like, "Nah, nigga, these are humans." John Boyega plays the king, and it's so funny. I just feel like his excitement through his character, I feel like this is, something he's probably always wanted to do, just play an African king surrounded by chocolate women and just having multiple wives that are all chocolate women and black women, dark-skinned women, with some light-skinned women in there too. And, I just felt in my spirit this was like his happy place. The way he played this character was just too excited. He was like, they came into our city. I was just like, he loves this. They came into our. I was just like, okay, nigga. But I dig it. I can dig it. So, they decide. They don't give them people know so they come into the city, the Oga tribe, to get their, their stuff, their taxes or whatever. And the king is all like, nah, nigga, like, you raided our country and you stole our people, like, and this nigga just gonna blow over, act like he didn't say nothing or whatever. And so then he wants him to give him 50 of his warrior women or whatever. And so they play along with the shit. Before all that happened though, like, this girl that, like, she's one of the main characters. So she was like, her dad was trying to marry her off to some old man and shit, and she was like, nah, I ain't for that. So basically in this city, if you ain't gonna be married off, you gonna go be a warrior and shit. And it don't look too bad up in the warrior village and shit. Like, they chilling, playing games, talking. I don't know about that pool where they all bathe in though. I need to know what the filtration system is for. I'm sorry. I am a germaphobe in certain areas, and I was just looking at that pool where they bathed in, and I was just like, so everybody bathes in that? Like, and they rinse themselves with the same? Like, there was a whole scene where the bitch bled in the water. Maybe it's mineral water and it just cleanses it. I don't know. I want to know how that works where you're clean. But maybe, you don't have to be that clean. I don't fucking know. I need to. So it looked pretty chill, but I mean, those shouldn't be the only options. Like, women should be allowed to, like, do other shit, like, other things that don't involve having your holes invaded by old men. And the dad's gonna be like, you're gonna go to war and you don't know the pain of war. And I'm just like, nigga, she's a whole woman. You don't know the pain of having your hole invaded by someone you don't want to invade it. If there's another option besides having your hole invaded by someone that you don't want to invade it, then she's going to take that fucking option. I would. No, like, these niggas be like, oh, you don't know what war is. You don't know what bitch. This old man was about to rape her. Do you know how traumatizing that is? No, of course you don't. There's not a lot of men out there that have been, sexually assaulted anally and stuff. So, or maybe there are. They don't be talking about that shit. They don't be going to therapy and stuff. So, you know what? Let me shut the fuck up. But, For they act like they don't know what the fuck you talking about. So I'm assuming that they never experienced some shit like that where it traumatized you to the depths of your fucking soul. So yeah, she took the option of I'd rather be a warrior and potentially get killed than potentially have my whole invaded. Because yes, you can go to war and that shit can happen, like it would happen to Viola, but like at least you can fight. At least it's less likely. At least ain't nobody trying to give you to these niggas. Like we all fighting these niggas together. So if it happens, then you know that means some shit went horribly wrong. This over here, you giving her to this old ass man means that you are a horrible person, right? So he takes her to the gate of the palace. Can't nobody get into the palace except for women. At least, I think it's like after dark though. And so she go in there and she want to be a fighter. She want to fight these niggas and she want to do stuff. She want to go to war. And she keep like talking back to the general, to Viola, and being all, you know, uppity and whatever. But she having a good time though. And she makes friends with what's that girl's name? It's the girl that played in the bad version of Matilda. I don't care. I don't like the musical because the musical leaves out the brother. The musical tries to make it seem like Miss Crunchball was friends with Matilda's dad, and she just didn't like Matilda because of what Matilda's dad said. And I'm like, no, she didn't like Matilda because her dad sold her a fucked up car, and so she took it out on Matilda. Why would you take that part out the musical? And it was a musical, and I'm not down for musicals like that unless it's like the oldie like Singing in the Rain type shit, because them niggas be getting it. They was dancing and doing the splits and singing at the same motherfucking time. They doing some magical shit on that motherfucking. So no, that's not the real Matilda. I don't care what nobody says. I'm sure other people enjoyed it, but you can't take out integral parts of the story and then be like, yeah, you know, this is so much better because they're singing. I'm like, no, the fuck is not. And the cake didn't even look as good as the cake on the original Matilda. It looked like some fake ass cake you buy at the store. The original Matilda cake looked like some fudge magnificent. It was dirty because that bitch was like digging in her nose and shit, but we didn't see that part, okay, when she made the cake. It was some fudge magnificence. It looked real. That shit that they had on the musical looked fake. I don't care what nobody says. So she up in here trying to fight and be like amazing and do all these amazing things. And, you know, it's kind of like, it gives it like a vibe of like a high school drama or something like that, because they're basically in warrior school. It was like School of Warriorism or some shit. It gave me like School of Witchcraft and Wizardry vibes and shit like that. And I was just like, this is cool. And we got to know the characters. And, you know, one of the girls was kidnapped from the other tribe because she was the wife of one of the dudes that, you know, and they gave them the option, like the wives of the other tribe, they gave them the option to either leave or they can become warriors. So they didn't kill them or nothing. So that was cool. And so, like, she making friends. Everything is awesome possum. And so, you know, they, like, end up, like, doing the test. And, like, she gets the blade and she wins and all this other stuff. And so her and her friends get to be on the team. And then later on in the movie, we find out that, like, she was adopted, right? So Viola's tripping out when she finds out about this. This is after she wins the sword situation. And she was just like, wait a minute, what do you mean you was adopted? She was like, yeah, I was at the, you know, the group home or some shit. The foster, the orphanage. There you go. That bitch, orphanage. And she was just like, what? And then she goes and runs off. And then we learned that she was raped by the dude that's like the lead of the ogre tribe. And it was some horrible situation. And he tied her up. It was horrible. God bless. And she got all this trauma and shit. She keep having nightmares and flashbacks and all sorts of shit. And she feeling the type of way because now she thinks this little girl's her daughter. So her friend is like, I forgot. That's why I was talking about Matilda. So the girl makes friends with the teacher that's from the Matilda musical. And they become like besties. She's like her mentor friend and shit. Cause like she looked like she in her 30s or something. So she's not like 50s, 60s, you know, she's like in her 30s or something. So she's still young and the girl is like 19. So she's like a mentor friend situation. And so they become like this. And so anyways, she finds out the girl's adopted. And then she goes into a breakdown. We find out she was assaulted by the dude. And then her friend, her advisor, whatever she is like, you know, trying to ask her what's wrong. And she's like, where is it? Where did you put it? And her friend advisor situation was like, it took her a moment. And she was thinking about it, and she was like, you told me never to tell you no matter what. And I'm just like, the girl was like, what, 19, 20 when she told you that shit? Girl, shut up. Don't go off of what your younger self said, because your younger self was in a whole different place. If I went off of what my 20-year-old something self did, girl, I would probably be homeless and cracked out right now, sucking up to these toxic ass niggas and shit with 15 babies and no goals in life. No, I know myself, and I know that God moves in my life, because I know that I make poor decisions, and I made really poor decisions when I didn't love myself. And God was just nudging me like, no, you need to go to like an all women's undergrad, because, and I genuinely liked it because it looked like a fucking forest on the inside, so I wasn't even thinking anything different or weird about it. But now I look back, I'm like, if I had went to a co-ed school, I would have dropped out and been pregnant by now trying to chase after these niggas. And it would have been a horrible life from there. Until I finally figured it out, and then I would have had to start all over again. Nigga, I went to co-ed school, I would have been too distracted, because my number one thing was having a husband when I was in my 20s. That was my number one goal. Fuck school. So God shifted me in some places to make sure I didn't make no stupid ass mistakes while I was on that road of trauma. So, this nigga did that shit to her. And she's like, where is it? And she's like, you told me never to tell you. Like, bitch, tell. She was like, tell me. And so she told her, and she said she gave her to some missionaries on the road. And I'm just like, they had them white people over there having orphanages back in 1823. Them white people was just all up in there trying to infect these people. Because you know what you did. You've seen the movies. I watched that the African Queens documentary on Netflix of Jada Pinkett Smith. Y'all, it was so good. But y'all, them poor Angolan people, I had to take a break from white folks for like 2 whole days, because I was just like, these people just wouldn't leave them alone. They just kept coming after them Angolans, and is it Angolians or Angolans? I don't know. But they kept coming after them and this woman had to keep fighting these white people, and she kept petitioning the Pope in Rome to make them a sovereign state. She basically had to force her people to accept Christianity and do away with their own religion, so that Rome would make them a Christian state and people wouldn't take them as slaves. They still was taking them as slaves afterwards, but I guess the process was harder. I don't fucking know. But like, why you forcing God on people? Like, God been around, like the Ethiopians in ancient times, Queen Sheba and shit like that. Christianity, Judaism been around since before slavery. But so why are you taking this religion? Because I mean, they could have took any religion and did that shit. That's just, the root cause is evil. It ain't got nothing to do with God. The root cause is these niggas was evil, and they wanted to control these people, and they used spirituality to control these people, because they saw that these people were spiritual people and how important their spirituality was to them. And so they had to divert them to another spirituality where they could be in control. There you go. And so, it just made you realize that these motherfucking conniving ass whites, see, I might need to take another break. Couple days, just another break. So, 1, 2, 3. Yes. So anyway, she's thinking that this is her daughter, right? So like later on in the movie, like these 2 dudes come to town, and one is white, and one I kept being like, isn't he mixed? Because I don't know if they said it when they were just showing the 2 dudes or what, but I didn't hear them say that he was mixed, and so I was like, do they not know he's black? Do they not see that his beard is kind of like like kinky and shit? Like, am I crazy? And then when they were walking to the city or the country or whatever where all the black people live, and everybody else got to have a hammock except for him, I was like, oh, okay, they know. I was like, oh, okay. They know immediately. It was just like immediate. I was just like, oh, okay. They know that he's black. They know that he is a mixed person of mixed race, and that's why he doesn't get a hammock. But he stays around these. I don't know why he went back to England. I guess if he went to the African town and stayed with them, like, he still couldn't have been with that bitch unless she chose not to be with the the fighting people. And so she probably wasn't gonna do that. So he would have been all up in there just pining and weeping and stuff. He probably went back to England. He said he was going to England Found him a nice white woman where he could shave his beard and potentially pass. There you go. God bless him. Ew. Let me shut up. Oh God. Oh. Not everybody wants to pass, of course, but after some shit like that, who knows? So, anyways, apparently the dude's mom, the mixed dude, his mom was an African woman of that village, and she on her deathbed wants him to go visit his people. Low key, I wouldn't be surprised if his mom was the king's mom, because the king's mom got kidnapped too, and we're doing that game in this movie where we're magically just related to each other like that, and we magically in this whole world full of bunch of people find each other randomly out of nowhere, so. I would not be surprised. But anyways, they go and they meet the king and stuff like that. And the white dude is like, he was trading with the king's brother, and they were doing slavery and giving him his people like they're, chattel. And so the new king is like, I ain't standing for this. And no, he didn't do all that. He's like, I ain't standing for this. I'm not about to sell my people. And the white dude was just like, you're gonna lose all the money and da-da-da-da. Like, if he's as rich as the king of England, I just feel like they got an infrastructure. They town look like a pre-tech Wakanda. Like, so they can make that money back. Like, I feel like they comfortable. They trying to sell palm oil now, palm oils and everything. Now I gotta look up if this shit is true, because it's like, does the palm oil go to the Africans? Because I don't mind if it goes to the Africans, but like, if this shit didn't work out, because even in the Queen, the African Queens documentary and shit, like, yeah, she made them a sovereign state, but like, they still was taking slaves from Angola, and they didn't stop like fucking with Angola till like the 70s. Like, Angola didn't get their freedom from colonialism until 1979 or some shit like that. Late in the game. So, so. He telling him, nah, nigga, we ain't doing that. And then the light skinned dude over here, like, falling in love with the little girl and stuff that we were talking about earlier, that was like new and shit. He over here falling in love with her and da-da-da-da, and she's like, oh, I don't know you, and da-da-da, and they meet in the forest and stuff while he on his way there, and he naked and shit. He got a nice body. I can't even. That nigga has a nice body. He got a body, man. His chesticles were square. Like, I could fit, like, my dream is just to have a nigga with square chesticles that my whole entire side of my face will fit in perfectly like a glove. I don't give a fuck. Just laying there on his chest, and my head isn't heavy because his muscles are strong enough to hold me up. Yes, indeed. Because I read the romance novels and I don't give a fuck. So he had a nice body. Like, even just thinking about it was just. Anyways, she meet him in the forest. He fall in love with her. He like her. I'm gonna say fall in love. This ain't no fucking Disney movie. Shit. And so when they get to the village, he trying to talk to her and shit. So they meet out in the forest at night, and he tell her that like the Ogre tribe got all the other tribes, and they about to come and fuck her shit up. And so she go and tell Viola, oh, they about to come and fuck shit up. And she had to tell her that she was out there with that nigga. And Viola was just like, I was raped a bunch of times by niggas because they're trash, and I got pregnant and I had to hide it from everybody, and I went off and lived in the bush, and then I had you, and then I stuck a fucking shark bone tooth, whatever, in your arm, and now I'm gonna cut it open and see if it's still there. That is some bullshit. I was waiting to see if there was a scar, like maybe there's a scar or something that she's looking for. Maybe she cut a little diagram or some shit on her arm or leg or thigh or some shit, just so if she found her again, it would be there. No, nigga, like, this tooth was still in her arm, and I'm just confused as to why she neither got an infection, why niggas at the orphanage didn't see that shit on her arm and try to, like, poke around in it a little bit to see what the fuck it was. No, it don't even look like it was sewn up, because when you get stitches and it heals up and it's like a line with them lines that go, it didn't even look like it looked like a blob. And I was just like, you want me to believe that this shark's tooth that you've had hanging off your body, collecting skin dust and blood from killing people, and was also originally in a shark's mouth, stayed in this child's arm. Maybe maybe it's a spiritual thing. Maybe it was, it's supposed to be one of those lucky moments or some shit. I'm just like, okay, you want people to believe shit. I'm gonna pretend. Because I just lose. Wait. Like, I would have understood the scar. The scar was there. Like, you didn't have to do all that, but no. And maybe she had a little pinch in that arm this whole time and didn't even know what the pinch was. And I'm just like, that shit could have cut off a nerve and fucked her shit up. I saw, And so we got these like stoic women that, are also regular ass fucking people at the same time, but they got these beliefs like they can't get married and have kids and shit. But the men can, because the men won't be incapacitated for long periods of time. And she didn't want to say that, but that's what it is. The men won't be incapacitated for a long period of time, so they can go off and have babies and leave their wives here and die and never come back and shit like that and have a legacy. The women, however, if we just let y'all go off and start fucking niggas and shit, that's half the fucking army incapacitated for 9 months. I mean, but they could do it like this. They could have periodically where one or two get to go off and like get married and have like a child. And then after that, they heal up and then they go off and they do the warrior shit. And then, maybe like 6 months later, another two can go off or some shit like that. And then after every child is born, like, so we rotate so people can fall in love and have babies. I mean, I feel like that would work, like for the ones who want to, because I feel like when you in a space with the same sex all the fucking time, some of them people are probably going to be lesbians or bisexual and just be with women and shit like that. So, and so we're not even considering them people. There could be a lot of them folks where most of the army ain't even gonna be gone and shit like that. But then they could want kids too, though. So like in them times, the gay people, they probably, like it's not that hard to put two and two together and find a nigga to give you some sperm. Like, so I just feel like that could probably happen too. And so, let me shut the fuck up. I'm thinking too hard. So the shark tooth was in there, and so she was just shocked and appalled. Oh, you're my mom. And blah, 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 blah. It's just like, okay. So, at some point during the movie, they had went to the little dock area to pay tribute and give the slaves to this nigga. And he was like, Viola was like, we ain't giving you none of us. And then she kicked over the bucket like in 300 and was like, it was a bunch of heads and shit in that motherfucker. And he was like, nah. And then like she started fighting this nigga, and the little girl go and cut the rope, and the gate come down, so the army don't come out. So she fighting this nigga while the little girl keeping lookout. And then like this nigga is beating her ass, so they had to get the fuck up out of there. And the gate was coming up and all the people was coming, so she got the fuck about it. Then she gonna be mad at the girl. And I was like, why you mad at the girl? Why you mad at the girl? Like, she's just projecting onto the girl because her advisor even told her, she was like, you the one that fucked up. Like, why you mad at her? She was like, I always had one, but you didn't tell nobody else about the fucking plan, bitch. You just focus on your own shit because of your trauma and trying to kill this nigga. And I'm just like, I understand, but it's like, why see, for me, I'm gonna have we're a squad, so we're all gonna kill this nigga together, and then you can give me the final blow. There you go. Like, why you gotta do it by yourself? I'm confused. Like every fucking action movie, I need to avenge by my motherfucking self. And I'm just like, okay, girl, avenge. She almost died. She was just like, I was gonna do it. I was just like, so I was sitting there like, how are you going to escape these 57, 80, 100 niggas running out? Like, were you just gonna like teleport or some shit? Because I'm confused how you were gonna escape them. They were like right there. Like, see, it's pride cometh before the fall, because her ass would have been dead if that girl didn't. She was like, I was gonna die for this. No, that nigga was gonna kill you and still walk and live and rape people. Like, it's not funny. I'm just, You know, so she out here when they get back to the village, and then they figure out that them people are coming and stuff like that. So the girl figured out how to make bombs, and so they made these little like termite hills looking things. I thought they were gonna make mines, but what they did was so much better because they waited until them people were like chilling. Cause I thought they were gonna do mines. I was just gonna be like, oh, they're doing some mines. So some of the motherfucking stuff. But then like the first few to blow up, you wouldn't have killed that many. They would have stopped after like the first few that stepped on the mine. So I feel like what they did was better. So you know they basically had gunpowder trailing from the termite hills, and then, so they look like termite hills. So I was just like, oh, these niggas didn't, because termite hills are like that. Like, I'll be watching documentaries and shit. So they be spread out, like, and they be grouped like that. So it looked natural, it looked normal and shit. So I was like, that shit is a good idea. Look at these sneaky motherfuckers. This is amazing. And so they had the trail going to the termite hill. And then they just blew them niggas up in like the middle of the night. Just blew their ass up. Or maybe it was dawn. I don't know. I think the sun came up as they was fighting. So maybe it was dawn. But they just blew their ass up. And so they got a good portion of them. And then they went and fought and got the rest. But then like the girl and another girl, I think maybe 4 got kidnapped. And Miss whatchamacallit from Matilda, she got kidnapped too. I was like, damn, she got kidnapped. So they in the slave encampment. It's horrible. They in the slave encampment, and they trying to like whatchamacallit, Miss Matilda. She gave up. She was just like, my arm is broken. She said to slit our throats. So let's slit our throats instead of be taken and multiply raped by these white men. And so the girl was just like, she was in shock. Like, she was going through some shit. So, like, the girl was like, no, we keep fighting. Or so, I don't know what their mantra was. Some keep on, persevere, or some shit. And so they in the cage and they make a plan. And then so their plan was, like, to be thoroughly violated multiple times. Not sexually, but still. And suck that shit up until they saw a moment to escape. And so their moment was when they were sold. And then old light-skinned dude saw that she was being sold, and he saw that his brother was buying her. And he was like, why don't you get them? Nigga, he never saw you as a person. Why you think you didn't have a hammock, nigga? I'm tired. I am exhausted. I know we go through traumas and we have moments where we're just in it and we can't see left nor right, and we just know this to be true, and can't nobody tell us nothing because I've been there. I think it's just cringy to see it. When I see shit like that, I just be like, that's who I was. I got up out of there. They need to get the fuck up out of there because that place is painful. Like, hurry up and get up out of there. Like, that place is horrible. And that's how I be feeling. I just be like, oh my gosh, why you staying there? And then I gotta pull it back and remind myself why I stayed there, because I didn't know. I had absolutely no idea shit could get better. You know, so that was all he knew, to be treated like that. And he was getting treated better than the darker one. So, you know, like, you know, them niggas that be conforming to white supremacy, well, they treat me better than them other niggas. So this must be the right way and shit. Like, they rule the world. So I was, okay, nigga. So anyways, he's like, I am sorry that. And so like that was their cue to, like, you know, because she was gonna make a distraction, but he made a good one. So that was their cue to fuck shit up. So they all was trying to get the guns from niggas. They got 2 guns, and then the girl had to like fight this nigga for his gun, and they was fighting and running and fighting and running and da. And then old girl Miss Matilda got shot in the stomach and she died. And it was like, that was that girl's best friend. Why they kill Miss Matilda off? You know, they didn't have to do that. Like, they didn't have to kill Miss Matilda. And I'm just like, there was a whole other bitch there that we never got to know. No, because that's how they do it on Star Trek. You always knew the nigga with the red shirt was gonna die, and it was some unknown actor that you didn't attach to, so you could just be like, oh, that's so sad, and then move the fuck on. But no, they killed somebody known. Just like in Harry Potter, when they killed all that knew that bitch was evil when she did that. How you gonna kill off most of the half of the main motherfucking characters? Girl, I knew she was a sociopath or some shit when she did that shit. So I was just like, nah, Miss Matilda. Why are you taking Miss Matilda, nigga? And the girl was sobbing and crying, and she looked so human, crying and sobbing over this woman. And they was just looking at her like she was nothing, like there was no empathy. The nigga said, I'll sell you this one for 100. I was just like, how can you be so empty and cold? Like, that shit don't bother you? Like, that don't, I could never, like, that shit hurts. Like, why would you live life like that? Just so empty and so cold and so heartless. And I could never be that. I just wonder how they just move through life. Basically just ghosts of a human. Like, it's horrible. God bless them people. Because no, you need to seduce, God need to do some shit to make them people not be that way. So God bless those people. Because when God do some shit to make them niggas not be that way, then we will not be hurt anymore. See, you gotta bless the evil niggas too. Shit. And so they pick her up. This light-skinned nigga bought her. And then Viola over here, like, she about to disobey the king and go get her child. And she told her advisor friend person, I think that's her girlfriend, but they wasn't like doing nothing romantically and stuff. Maybe that was just her friend. I don't know. I just wanted her to have somebody so she didn't have to be like, you know. But, you know, sometimes it's okay to stay single and be happy and content in that. She got her daughter. She got her friends. You know, that's all she needs. And so, you know, whatever works for her. She's the king now. Oh my gosh. So she go get her daughter. She told her advisor friend. She was like, you made me deny what I want. Or no, not her. She said, I denied what I wanted. I wanted to keep my child, but I was too scared to do it. And I've been guilty all these years because I attached to my child and I love her and shit. And I want to know where she is. And it's been haunting me all this fucking time and shit. I was like, bitch, yeah, you know, sometimes you be doing shit and you don't want to do the shit, but you got to do it because you think it's going to be best, but you still going to be haunted because you didn't want to do that motherfucking shit in the first place. So it's understandable. That's all I'm saying. And so, you know, she did what her heart's most desired, and she went to go save her daughter. So her daughter's sitting up in the room with this light-skinned nigga. He want her to go to England with him. She thinking about it because, you know, he got the body and he got the square chest muscles, and, you know, he was just glorious in his body and things. And I have a problem. What's wrong with me? There's too much vodka in this. So anyways, he wanted to go to England, and then like Viola and them come and they basically blowing up the dock and shit. And so she see her sisters outside, and she like, no, I need to go fight. And so she go fight in some petticoats and a little corset situation. I was like, that's a fit. I can wear that shit. That shit would be cute. Out there. And so she gonna fight, and they fighting, they blowing up shit, they freeing everybody and shit. I was just like, why y'all didn't do this shit in the first place? These white people just laissez-faire at night and shit, not paying attention, getting drunk, raping motherfuckers and shit. They're not paying attention to their shit. So y'all could have been dude. They get cocky and they get slow and weak. That's what she kept saying. They get arrogant and they get weak and slow, and this shows that they got weak and slow, and they got their ass beat, and they killed most of them motherfuckers. And then dude that came with the light-skinned dude, he was trying to take the slaves he bought back to the ship. He was like, we're gonna, like, their money, like it's like a suitcase of money on the ground. and that's his money, and he gotta take it before so and get away with it. And I'm just like, after all you've seen and experienced, how can you be such a cold, heartless motherfucker? This is like ice cold. This is like that pole that little kid got his tongue stuck on in A Christmas Story. That's how cold this shit is. I'm just, how you, ew, what the ew. So I can't, like, ew, the fuck is wrong? Ew, 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 ew. It's so gross. It's so gross that you just don't see people as people. Like, what's wrong? Like, damn, like, I don't, So he picked them people up and he put them in the boat. And this light skinned nigga was following along with him. And then he had a change of heart. He felt something stir. And the Grinch's heart grew 10 times, 2 times. It grew bigger. And he said, no, you will not enslave my brothers. And he released his brothers and they beat his ass and drowned that nigga. It was magical, 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 beautiful. Care. Oh God. And you know, he like goes on the shore and they telling him that he gotta leave, like, you gotta leave, da, 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 da. But before that, because Viola thought the girl had been taken, and so that's why she set it off and shit in that motherfucker. But the girl was actually there, and before Viola could get killed, she shot this nigga in the chest or some shit, and he fell to the ground, and she was like, I'm here, bitch. And she was like, bitch, bitch, bitch. And then wait. So oh God. So they found each other, and then she did this magnificent shit. She was like, oh Jazz, whatever they called it. She screamed it in the air, and all them bitches came running. And I was like, that's mad. Look at her. Words have power. Cause I thought they was dead too. It was silent. It was empty. There was nobody around except for them two. And I was just like, are they dead too? Like, and she screamed out their names, and they came running and shit. And so they came running. And then they walking away from the place, and her and that light skinned nigga make eyes, and she, you know, the eyes said, her eyes was saying like, nigga, you gotta, oh D. But that ain't enough for me to leave my sisters and shit, because nigga, you still attached to the white man, and I ain't doing that. I ain't about to live over in England where the sun don't come up and shine like it's supposed. No, I had a layover in London when I went to Greece last year, and I was just like, why is it so dreary and dark? And like, I was gonna go and eat African food because I was there for a day. And so like, I got in the Uber to go to the African place that was only like maybe 20 miles away. Why did shit take 2 hours to get? I was falling asleep in the Uber. I could have got kidnapped. Anything could have happened to me. And because it was dark and dreary and cold, and there were no freeways, and we were just on these streets with these old, close together. I mean, I'm sure it's a wonderful place. I am sure that London is a wonderful place, and the little bit that I seen of it does not represent the whole. But it was cold, and it took 2 hours to go 20 miles, and it's not for me at the moment. Like, when I go on vacation, I like to stay for like 3 weeks to a month or some shit, right? I don't see myself staying in London for 3 weeks to a month. I don't. No. So yes, he wanted to take her there, and her eyes were just like, I'm not going there. And he was like, I understand. Yes, I do. You need to be with your people, and I need to be with half of my people. Oh God. Oh Lord. Stop it. And so he got on a little dingy boat and rowed to the big boat and sailed across the sea and to the other land and shit. And she went back to her people. And, it was beautiful because they got back. And because the king had a little attitude in his home, he made one of his bottom bitch wives the queen. What she is? She the bottom bitch? Like, you got a harem of bitches. She the first bitch, right? And I mean, like, she was sitting up in there, like, trying to get it all up in his face the whole movie, trying to make her be the king. But, like, before Viola left, like, he had made Viola the king and shit. And she was feeling the type of way. So when Viola left, she was like, oh, this is my time. She left, Your Majesty. And he just be putting up with her mouth. And I just be like, I just would cuss her out a few times and tell her that she need to figure it the fuck out or get the fuck out. I mean, I wouldn't cuss. I would nicely say the way you are acting is toxic and manipulative, and give a couple of examples so it doesn't sound like you're gaslighting. Like, no, these are things that that you did. And I'm trying to understand why these things keep happening. So help me to understand. This is the first conversation. And then, they let you understand. They give you some style story about how their dad said some shit to them and they need to go to therapy. And then, you expect them to go to therapy and work through that shit. And, they do that shit again. Then it's like, I thought you was going to work on this because it's been like 2 or 3 months and, you still doing that shit. And so I'm wondering on a consistent basis. So I'm just wondering, like, what is supposed to happen here? And they be like, we had been having a really bad month and and so many things are happening and but that doesn't mean that you critique everything I do and make me feel bad about myself because you are feeling bad about your month. That's not healthy. And, they say again, they'll work on it. They'll go to therapy, blah, blah, blah. 2-3 more months pass. They're doing the same exact shit. This is the third time. This is the breakup chat. You've been doing the same shit for about 6 months. That's half a year. That's a good portion of my life that I have given to you as a gift to cherish. And I see that you have not been cherishing the gift. And so since you have not been cherishing the gift, I'm going to exit because you have not been cherishing the gift as I have been cherishing you as my gift. And so to exit. And then that's it. I don't have time for it. It'll hurt my feelings. It'll make me feel bad, but I'm not staying in that situation and some bullshit. And so, so the queen, she tripping. I wouldn't have that shit around me. So yeah, like, I'm not gonna, like, you gotta set boundaries with people like that because they think they can just say whatever the fuck they want to say. Like, she stopped a whole coup. She been saving this nigga and the country for like a minute. Bitch, you been sitting up here looking pretty. And there's nothing wrong with sitting and looking pretty because I love to sit and look pretty. And, shit like that. But I'm not going to, like, be more than my role. If that's not me to be out there fighting and doing and running and getting dirty and shit, then it's not me. Like, I'm not doing that shit. Like, I'll be up there with him like, yes, girl, get it, bitch. Oh, she did that shit. You see that? She did that. She did that. That's that bitch. And I would be like, let me go get something to eat now. I'm bored. Like, you sitting up here pretty, that you got everything you want, you the bottom bitch, like, shut up. You ain't gonna be more than that because you don't do more than that. And it's okay if you don't do more than that. You just gotta embrace that shit. Like, I am not gonna be an entrepreneur. Like, if that's the type of person you are, then that's the type of person you are. Like, if you just need the structure of corporate, then, at least learn to set appropriate boundaries because they will try to mule the fuck out of you and shit. but stay in a lane that's made for you and shit. Some niggas want to work at a job for 50 fucking years and shit, and then retire and get their pension, and hopefully get their pension and retirement and whatever else they supposed to be getting. Some niggas really want that shit, and kudos to them niggas. And some niggas want to control more of they shit than that. And there's nothing wrong with either one, bitch. But she kept making it a problem, and that shit irritated me. Like, why you keep making this shit a fucking problem? So now I was just like, I don't like her. So she's sitting up on the throne thinking she got the crown and shit, and everybody congratulating her. Like, oh, bitch. Yeah, bitch. And then these motherfuckers walk through the gate looking all bedraggled and shit. And then everybody's, Nimina, whatever the fuck her name is, yelling her name and shit. And then the king, like, he got to do something. He like, oh shit, I told her there would be a punishment if she disobeyed me and shit. And she's standing up there looking greater than me and shit. Like, he could have went down the route of being a dick and being like, oh, can't nobody be greater than me because I'm the greatest and shit. Fuck this bitch. But he knew how much of an asset she was to the country, my nigga. And she wasn't a selfish, greedy bitch either. And he knew that shit. And you got to keep them motherfuckers that are assets and are not selfish or greedy all up under you and shit. Because them is the niggas that's going to be on army and protect you when shit goes down. And he knew that motherfucking shit. And that's why he picked that bitch to be queen in front of everybody. Even though it could have potentially make him look weaker. Nigga. It was magical. Magical. Squad. And she just sitting up there looking pretty in her little outfit while her girls is dancing and shit. And then the girl come up to her and she just, it was like, mother. She been wanting to hear that. You could see it on her face. She been wanting to hear that shit for so long. And she was like, mother, do you want to dance? And she just pulls back in her face. And it's so, like, that doesn't deserve an Oscar. When they standing on the dance floor and they looking into each other's eyes with love and grace and magicalness, and Viola cups this little girl's face, that doesn't deserve a fucking Oscar. Y'all niggas is evil. I'm set. They came together in magical beautiness, and y'all just, and then like there's an after credits. Like I had left it on because I was setting up my cameras and shit, so. I wasn't thinking that was on after credits. I just left it on. But this is the after credits after the first credits with the yellow letters and shit. This is where I fucking sobbed, bitch. She got all the warrior swords that died. And she's basically like doing a blessing to the dead spirit people, the ancestors, over the swords. And then at the very end, when the screen goes black, she says Brianna. And nigga, they sent a blessing to Breonna Taylor at the end of this fucking movie, and that doesn't deserve an Oscar. Okay, like black folks get on it and shit, like figure some shit out so we can have our own shit that's seen as just prestigious. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. Like Angela Bassett, who played Tina Turner, Angela Bassett, who played Malcolm X's wife, Angela Bassett, who played the mom in the fucking Black Panther movies. Like, I don't under these super dramatic roles that take a lot of oomph to act, and she don't deserve. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis is cool and shit like that, but it's like she do rom-coms, kids movies, horror movies, and comedies, and like an occasional action movie. It don't take a lot of oomph to do what she do. Like you seen Angela Bassett and Tina Turner, nigga. Don't tell me nothing. You can't compare the two. There is no fucking comparison. I'm upset. I am gonna go do a self-care activity and then go to sleep. There you go. This was a good movie. It was magical. Be prepared to be triggered. Maybe not as triggered as I am. I probably shouldn't have watched it on this night of all nights. I am not watching the Oscars. No, I do not watch these white people award shows. No, I do catch the snippets of the white people embarrassing themselves, however, on the Shade Room. So it is what it is. I don't care. But yeah, I don't do this. whatever that's, I don't, cause no, this is triggering and I'm upset. And so, I'm just gonna chill and relax and do relaxing things, read a book, soak in dark skinned black woman entertainment for the evening where we are celebrated with joy and love and beautiness. And think I'm gonna take a nap. Take a nap. Go to sleep. Go to sleep, ho. Go to sleep. I miss Ludacris. Like the old, like I was listening to his first album the other day, and I was like, this nigga is a whole ratchet. This nigga is a male city girl. And when he came out, I was like, he a teenager or some shit. And I didn't get the full complexity of the songs and what he was saying. I just liked the beat and like how he was rapping, like, and it matched and it was beautiful. And like I listened to, I was like, this is a vibe. Like this nigga is like a fucking city girl. Like this nigga is ratchet as fuck on these albums. Like go back and listen to Ludacris like first albums when he was just ratchet before he started doing all them like hood anthems and shit where he was talking about like people dying in the hood and all this other shit and Georgia and shit. And then like he got sucked up into this stupid ass franchise. Like no, because Fast and the Furious took away two fucking artists that were doing things. Okay, like Vin Diesel had the fucking Riddick series, and I was into that. That was a whole fucking vibe. And like that nigga just stopped doing that shit and focused on this stupid ass fucking franchise and stuff. And then Ludacris, like he got sucked up into this shit and then ain't made a good album. Ain't nothing noteworthy. Ain't nothing like I don't remember him making no fucking good albums after getting into this shit. I'm tired. It's not like he's bad. It's just like it just started sounding the same and shit. Like his first album was different. Like it's like Busta Rhymes' first album. Like his shit sounded so different on his first album versus like his. Oh God, I'm talking about music and rambling. Like I feel like after his first album, Busta Rhymes had good singles, but like his whole albums weren't like as good as his first album. Like I can't explain it. I don't know. Cause I tried to cause I was on a vibe one day and I was like, I'm gonna listen to a bunch of Busta Rhymes. So I started with his first album. Then I got to his second album and I was like, why this don't hit the same? Like what is? And if there were substances involved in the transition of these sounds and not doing the substances, change the transitions of these sounds, then, that's okay too. Shit. Like, we need to be healthy before, all the other shit. So, it's fine. I don't know why I'm talking about this. I went from the fucking movie to this. But yes, let me know what you think of this review and what you thought of The Woman King and, later days.